We are coming on the air right now with breaking news out of Los Angeles, where police have announced that Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, has been arrested and booked on suspicion of murder in the deaths of his parents, Rob Reiner and Michele Singer. He's being held on a $4 million bail bond right now. Let's listen to what Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McConnell said at a separate news conference in this last hour.
Yesterday at December 14th, about 3:40 in the afternoon, LAPD responded to a residence, the residence of Rob and Michele Reiner, located in West Los Angeles Division. At that location, they found two deceased adults, a male and a female. Through the night, working with the coroner's office, they were able to identify them definitively as Rob and Michele Reiner. We have our robbery homicide division handling the investigation. They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder and is being held on $4 million bail. Pretty much that's what I can share at this point, but again, a very, very tragic incident.
Joining me now is NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky, who's live outside the Brentwood home of the Reiners, where this horrific crime took place. Rob Reiner is such a big force both in Hollywood and across the country and for generations across America.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, Tom, he really is, and I think that's one of the reasons that this stunning news is hitting so incredibly hard. And it was just yesterday that the news broke from this very location that the bodies of both Reiner and his wife had been found. We know that firefighters made the call to LAPD officers who arrived here on scene and sealed it off. And this morning, we witnessed a massive perimeter around this property. We saw that crime scene unit parked all night long as officers went back and forth collecting evidence, building their case, trying to understand what could have led to the horrific circumstances that resulted in the death of both Reiner and his wife, Michele. As for Nick Reiner, according to records, Tom, he was initially taken into custody around 9:15 last night by members of LAPD. We do not know at this hour what, if any, communication has happened between that 32-year-old son of Rob Reiner and detectives. We do know, though, as you mentioned, he is being held on suspicion of murder in the deaths of both his mother and father. An assistant of the Reiner family made a visit here just a few minutes ago, and I had a chance to briefly speak to him. He says that right now, in light of this shocking news, everyone is asking for much privacy at this time so they can continue to grieve the loss, as you mentioned, of an absolute Hollywood icon whose works not only spans decades, but genres as well, making this such a tough loss, especially when you consider the recent circumstances that have now come to light here, Tom.
All right, stand by for us, Morgan. In 2016, Rob Reiner joined the Today Show to talk about his son's Nick's struggle with addiction. At the time, Rob had directed a movie written by Nick about substance abuse called Being Charlie. Let's take a listen.
It's not a secret, but my son, Nick, who was one of the writers of the screenplay, had his problems with substance abuse, and he went through a number of rehab programs from the time he was 15 to 19. He's doing very good now, but what I didn't understand is the depth of what he was going through. And the process of making this film not only forced me to see what he was experiencing, but I think it forced him to see what I went through and what his mother went through. And hopefully the film was a reflection of that.
The Reiner son Nick's problems with addictions, battles with addictions were very well known throughout Hollywood. And the Reiners, as you saw right there, were openly talking about it, hoping to get Nick help. And now Nick is being held on suspicion of murdering his parents. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas joins us now. Chloe, talk to us about this relationship, which had played out in the public eye for a while, but of course to the Reiners was so personal and so deeply troubling and hurtful.
Tom, that's right. So this movie that Rob Reiner directed, based on the relationship that he had with his son's addiction with drugs and alcohol, was really the first time that they really pulled back the curtain. And Rob Reiner gave multiple interviews about this film in 2016 alongside his son. And his son talked about his years-long struggle that began around the age of 15, and that he was in and out of rehab, that he experienced years of homelessness. And his father, Rob, said said that he really wanted to make this movie Being Charlie because he wanted it to be relatable to other families that also had family members struggling with addiction, Tom. And he also said something that is resonating with a lot of people. Rob Reiner said in an interview at the Toronto International Film Festival at the time that when Nick would tell us that it wasn't working for him, we wouldn't listen. We were desperate, and because the people had diplomas on their wall, we listened to them when we should have been listening to our son. And, you know, his son, Nick, he also gave an interview around that same time saying that he didn't understand why he was living on the streets, why he said, I came from a nice family. I didn't understand why I was doing all of these messed up things, and how much he loved his parents, and that doing this film, Being Charlie, really brought him closer to his father. But again, he had talked about how this relationship was tumultuous with his parents. And because of that movie, Being Charlie, a decade ago, we have this inside look into the tumultuous relationship between him and his parents and how it escalated over the years. But then they came back together. So it's unclear what happened over the last couple of years with this relationship and why they were together over the last couple days and what led to this. And obviously, this is something that we are learning more details on, Tom, as this story progresses. But incredibly tragic. And I do want to also point out that there has been an outpouring of condolences in Hollywood. One of those is Kathy Bates, who spoke to NBC News. She won an Oscar for her leading role in the movie Misery that was directed by Rob Reiner. And she told NBC, I'm horrified hearing this terrible news, absolutely devastated. I loved Rob and that he fought courageously for his political beliefs, and that also, if it wasn't for him, obviously, this role changed her life.
All right, Chloe, stand by for us. I want to bring back Morgan. Morgan, we heard Chloe there talking about Kathy Bates, and she mentioned his sort of political stances and what he worked for when he was not directing and producing movies in Hollywood. When this crime first happened, it was unclear exactly what had occurred behind those gates we see there behind you, because, as we had mentioned, he was such a public figure, but also he was very proud of his liberal politics, and he was always very outspoken. On top of that, you have covered, and the rest of our NBC News team out there in L.A. have covered the celebrity homes that have been targeted, but it turned out it was nothing like that at all. It was all very personal.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. And authorities, while they weren't sharing much, they did make it clear in a press conference last night that they did not believe the surrounding neighborhood here in Brentwood was at risk of any sort of potential danger. We now know that because the fact that, of course, Nick has been taken into custody. As for what happens now, Tom, investigators are going to continue to build their case. He's being held on suspicion of murder. We're awaiting those formal charges that may come later today or potentially even tomorrow. We also anticipate a coroner's report to be released that could detail the cause of death for both Reiner and his wife. We know a source close to the family initially shared that both of them were stabbed. So that will shed some new insight into this incredibly tragic case here, especially with a member of their own family now behind bars, charged or facing formal charges in the death of both Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele. Tom.
Morgan, before you go, because you live out there in Los Angeles, tell our viewers, what is the mood like right now? I mean, because he was such a larger-than-life figure in Hollywood, somebody who had done both television and movies again, that spanned generations, and now he's lost.
Tom, it's a fact that I think it's tough for people to wrap their heads around, because the creations, the works of Rob Reiner touched so many different people in their deepest emotions. He shared that the film that meant the most to him was Stand By Me, that powerful coming-of-age movie with the multiple characters that everyone could see a little bit of themselves in. Here in this Brentwood neighborhood that is very private and very quiet, we've seen a couple people walking by in front of the gate, just kind of acknowledging the gravity of this tragedy as more and more cameras arrive to document something that, up until 24 hours ago, no one could have conceived, no one could have imagined. And so it is very heavy here today, particularly in light of what we've learned from police within the last hour or so here. Tom?
Yeah, you think about all those movies like you mentioned, Stand By Me, A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally, so many classics again. And he did so much for philanthropic causes as well. All right, Morgan, we thank you for that. That concludes this NBC News Special Report. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you so much for watching. We'll have more on Nightly News tonight. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.